Alright, welcome back. And so now we're ready to get started with division of polynomials. So I've got my cup of coffee, and this is my College of Lake County cup, which I like. I like the big mugs. But in any case, I also got new markers. So I'm sure you guys are happy to see that. Much better. I bought a whole bunch of markers, some color too. But anyway, so we're going to start talking about division. Of course, we're going to start talking about long division. Now, the cool thing about dividing polynomials is it's very similar to dividing real numbers. Okay, you have the division algorithm, right? So when you learned a long time ago how to do long division with just numbers, you learned what we call the division algorithm. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is how we divide polynomials, and it's very similar to the way we did it in elementary school when we first started learning division. All right, so let's do this example here, and I'll talk about it. So we're going to divide these two numbers, right? Remember, algebra, these are algebraic expressions. These just represent numbers. If I was to put a value in for x, this would give me a number. If I put the same value of x over here, that would give me a different number. And so I'm dividing one number by another number. Okay, so let's see how we do that algebraically when we're dealing with polynomials. Okay, so we set it up as a regular division problem like we would. So this is our what? This is the dividend, right? So if you go back, again, you probably don't remember this, but this is called the dividend. The number you're dividing into is called the dividend. The number you're dividing by is called the divisor. Okay, so the dividend goes under the division symbol here. So 6x cubed minus 5x squared minus 3. And then the divisor goes out front here, so 3x minus 2. Now, the way we do this is in steps. So the first step is we're looking at the first term here. We focus on the first term here, and we want to know, hey, what do I need to multiply by up here in order to get 6x cubed? But because what we want to do is we want to get rid of this 6x cubed. We want to subtract, right? Remember, the division algorithm for numbers is what? You divide, right? Or you multiply, and then you subtract, right? And then you divide. And we keep doing this over and over again until we get a remainder, some remainder, whether it's 0 or not. Okay, so let's do this. So what would I need to multiply 3x by in order to get 6x cubed? Turn it off for a second. Okay, well, it would be 2. I'd need a 2 up here to get the 6, and I would need x squared up here, right? So 3x times 2x squared will give me my 6x cubed. So now that's what I'm going to do. So now I'm going to get 6x cubed. And now what I'm going to do is I'm now going to multiply by the minus 2 at this point, right? So I've got this, I got what I needed here. Now I'm going to multiply by negative 2 here, or minus 2. So that's going to give me what? A negative 4, or minus 4x squared. So I'm going to put minus 4x squared, okay? And now that I've done that, so I've figured that out. Now multiply, I did that. Now I'm going to subtract. So I'm going to subtract this entire thing. So now what's going to happen? This is going to become opposite signs. So that's going to cancel. It's going to give me 0. And this is going to become a plus, right? This is going to become a negative. This is going to become a plus. Now it's going to be what? Minus 5 plus 4, which is going to give me a minus x squared, a minus 1x squared, okay? Now what I do is the next step is to drop down, right? Remember, in the long division with numbers, we drop down the next number. Well, in this case here, it's the next term. So we're going to drop down the minus 3, and now we've got this negative x right? This negative x squared minus 3. So now we do the whole thing over again. Now I'm going to say, okay, what do I need to multiply by here in order to get a negative x squared here? Okay, well, in this case here, what can I do? So I'm going to what? So this is, how do I get a negative x here? Well, I've got 3. 3 times what will give me negative 1? Well, that would be a minus 1/3, right? Minus 1/3, right? So 3 times negative 1/3 gives me negative 1. And then what do I need here? Well, I've got an x, so to get x squared, I need an x. So now, I know when I multiply 3x times negative 1/3 x, I'm going to get negative x squared. Now I'm going to multiply again by negative 2, and the negative 2 times negative 1/3 is going to give me what? Positive 2/3. 2/3 x. Right? Now, right away, you might notice, well, something's not right because I got an x here and there's a constant here. So, so we missed a part, right? There's a gap here between the x squared and the 3. So what we always want to do is we want to put a placeholder. So in this case here, the mistake was we missed the placeholder. So always remember that if there's when we write the polynomial that we're dividing into, we always want to write any placeholder values for any missing variables of degrees, of certain degrees, right? So in this case here, we're missing an x term. So in this case here, when I'm writing the dividend, I want to write plus 0x and then minus 3. So now here, what do I need to do? Here I would just drop down the 0x. Now everything else is fine. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to now multiply again the way I did. So I'm going to get my negative x squared. Now what happens here? I'm going to get my plus 2/3 x, just like I did before. Now the terms line up. And so now if I subtract this whole thing, these are going to go away like they should. And then I'm going to add down, well, this is going to be negative, so that's going to give me a negative 2/3 x now. Now I'm down to the constant term, and now I'm going to drop down the minus 3. Okay. Now I do it all again. Now what happens? Now I'm going to do the same thing. Now it's going to repeat itself. So now I'm going to ask, what do I need to multiply 3x by in order to get the negative 2/3 x? Okay, well, in this case here, it's going to be a minus. So 3 times what equals 2/3? Well, I need negative 2/3 here. I've got a 3 in the bottom, right? So if I look at this and say, okay, what about negative 2/9? Will negative 2/9 do it? So I just put an extra factor in the bottom, right? Because I know I'm multiplying by 3, so I'll need another 3 in the denominator to cancel this, right? So if I do 3 times 2/9, right, the the 9 will cancel with the 3, and I'll end up with another factor of 3 here, right? Because this is 3 times 3, and so that'll do it. So I do 3x times negative 2/9 will give me negative 2/3 x. Now I'm going to multiply by negative 2, and that will give me what? Positive 4/9. Okay, so now if I multiply this divisor by this, I get what? I get negative 2/3 x plus 4/9. And now I'm going to subtract again. And now, again, these terms cancel. I'm going to distribute because I'm distributing the negative sign, so this will become negative. And so now I'm going to add these. So this gives me what? This gives me negative 3 and 4/9. Which is the same as negative 31/9. So now at this point I'm done. I can't do anything more. I've got a remainder, right? So once you reach the end, you're done. Okay? Once you drop the last term, the constant term, and you go through the steps, whatever is left over is your remainder. So now we've got what? What we figured out is this polynomial divided by this polynomial will result in what? Getting us a whole number, right? Remember back in the long division of numbers, right? We end up with a quotient, right? This is called the quotient, the number that we get up here. So this is our quotient polynomial, okay? The remainder is what all we always call the remainder is whatever's left over after you divide the numbers, right? And so we get the same thing. So what we end up with is we find that what? This divided by this is going to equal what? It's going to be this, right? It's going to be equal to 2x squared minus 1/3 x minus 2/9 plus the remainder minus what? What's the remainder? Remember, it's this number divided by what? The divisor, right? So the remainder that's left over is this divided by that. So we would write minus 31/9 over 3x minus 2, okay? So this is our quotient, right? Just like in division, this is our remainder. This is the dividend. This is the divisor, okay? Okay? So another way of writing it is also to write this as how we write the dividend, right? So in other words, we can write this as a product, right? We can write the dividend as a product of the divisor and the quotient plus the leftover remainder, okay? So all we have to do is just multiply through by the divisor. If we multiply by the divisor, we get the other way of writing it, which is the dividend is equal to what? It's going to be the divisor times the quotient plus the remainder. So either way, we can write it as the dividend divided by the divisor is equal to the quotient plus the remainder divided by the divisor. Okay? Or we can write the dividend is equal to the divisor times the quotient plus the remainder. So, but when we're talking about polynomials, we call this the dividend polynomial. It's a dividend, the divisor polynomial, the quotient polynomial, and the remainder polynomial. Okay? But normally we just drop the word polynomial. All right. Have a great day.